a program director, the president of SARA, the distinguished guests from the African continent and abroad globally, the key stakeholders who play a crucial role in the development of arts, culture and heritage in South Africa, the artists, creatives themselves who are here, the young up-and-coming artists that I've seen that are also here. Allow me to say good evening, in the sense that I really apologize that I couldn't be here with you yesterday. Of course, we are having quite a busy time now in preparation for the inauguration of the President Cyril Ramaphosa on the 25th of May. And almost everything is turning at a high speed. So I couldn't be here, and I have to apologize to the President of SARA, Mr. Natela. And I said I would try to come even if it's to say goodbye, because the essence of this conference cannot be emphasized. I was astonished, but also quite educated in relation to how the sector, just as being here, we perceive and respond to challenges that you are facing. And in the manner in which, even in this small group, the diverse way you are perceiving your challenges and the response to them makes me realize that this type of conference is quite significant, but only if after it we implement the resolutions we make. Because the more we complain, we will remain in the dark house. In that dark out, we will not be able to get out until we have our solutions. You know, when we talk of CIFSA, it's amazing just how many divergent views people have. But the question is, what do we want as creatives? What binds us? If we do not have a sense of purpose as a collective, how are we going to relate to key stakeholders to support this sector? This sector has got the most potential to revolutionize the economy, change the social lives of people. It can make South Africa great. But as long as artists and creatives are pulling each other apart and pulling different directions, you can't realize the value that you have at your disposal. When we were in Canada Music Week last week, I said it was amazing that there were, the creatives were not necessarily there except those who were performers. But the collection houses, the so-called the managers, they were there. It's a conference about your craft, but your voices are not there. But it's designing the outlook of the creative sector. Mr. Nyatela took me to Leeds, and it was a technical events conference, huge. The attendance was amazing, but it's because those people understand the value of the creative sector, and in particular, the value of live events, technical and production. So I'm not sure whether I shared with you the powerful lessons of a value chain of this sector, and therefore penetration and participation by a number of citizens. But who is growing that economy? They were there in numbers. So I said to him, we need to transfer this back here. Because that was not about a creative, an artist who sings only. There it was truckers who understand that I need a truck to move my equipment from one place to another. But also it was people who produce the equipment, the producers themselves. So when we talk of a mic, someone is there to say, how is this mic produced? The value chain of this sector is big enough for all of us to benefit. But we can't achieve this if we are not united in what we want and what should be my role in this sector. Where is my specialty? So I'm making these examples because I think one does not have the opportunity most of the time, or has not made the opportunity to engage with the sector except through these conferences like this one. And when we were in a film summit, you know, a film, the amount from clothing, from apparel, from everything, from lighting, sound. You can't do these things just by one film and transform lives of people unless you understand the value of what is this film about. And then you are able to say, what do I need to do to produce this film? Whose role is crucial? So the sector is huge enough for us, particularly as South Africa, to benefit and to play a role to develop it in this country. So the live events, technical and production conference, I hope you had an opportunity to say, what were the resolutions last year? What did we implement? Where do we go from here? Now, the issue of technology. I came here at a time when there was a debate about digitalization. Now, you see, unfortunately, globalization has made the world very small. You can no longer, if you try to fight back technology, you're just fighting a losing battle. Your energy is wasted where you shouldn't. It's either you adapt, you embrace, and then you use technology to your advantage. But when you begin to say, no, we must let our South African young people and the youth here and yourselves who are here reject technology, you can't use iTunes. It's unfortunate. You don't have a choice. Kohino is no longer, you know, when last time I used to buy the vanilla and Kohino in Joe's at Market Street. It was big. Do you have it now? CDs, as they were saying, gone. They say use Bluetooth. So, what we must be talking about is how to empower ourselves, as Carl was saying, so that we use it for our advantage, while we find innovative ways to create our own platform. But when you don't have them, use what you have to your advantage. But to do that, find a way to understand it. So Sislengi is gone now, Boshe to go. But I wanted to just share with you. See, if you're gonna live like that, you're gonna remain where you are with all your talent, because you have to embrace technology. So, because it's late, I don't want to worry you much about this. But first, let me just indicate that South Africa has what we regard as triple challenges. And the cultural creative industry has got what we call a cultural creative economy that is sitting and waiting for all of us here to partake. Now, if that's the case, how is arts and culture and the totality of creative industry responding to these challenges? Issues of unemployment, particularly the youth, the issue of poverty and the inequality. These triple challenges, as a sector, we have a role to play. And live events and technical and production conference must say, how are we going to contribute to that fight? What do we need to do? Statistics, South Africa released alarming increase in unemployment. But this sector, why maybe I'm very passionate about it, is that it is an untapped potential for this country. It can revolutionize the skills. So we need to then say, as the creatives, government, how are we going to support these live events, technical and production section of the creatives? And I said to Mr. Nyatela, one of the things I think is crucial now is that the young artists there, is that we must make sure that this sector is transformed. This sector has got dominance in terms of ownership. It seems as if it's impenetrable. And we can't penetrate it unless we have skills training and development. And I said to him, the Minister, Mr. Mthetho, was very clear. Let's see how we can support this initiative to have an academy that is effective. And I said to him, we need to work on that, because we are already doing it. He has trained more than 200 young people. We are going to have an inauguration now. Who is going to be rendering those services? You can't have these events, these big concerts. Joy of Jazz is coming. Who is behind, other than just pulling the cord? We need to transform the sector. And to do that, we must have skills to deliver on that. So, I said to Mr. Nyatela, let us see and find a way, because he has already started, how we can support him to have this academy as an effective academy. But not only for South Africa, because the whole of the region is asking a question: how can we penetrate this industry of live events? because the technology that is there, you have no event without these systems. You can't. So, development and training is crucial. But when we were in Leeds, one of the things that was quite clear was how do we unpack the value chain so that we understand who is involved in the trucking industry. Because we're going to need that. You can't have these sound systems not transported from one place to another. So understanding the value chain and making sure that ownership is changed and how we're going to work together on that and avoid us and them is going to be crucial. So this 5th year of this conference must give us an opportunity to answer the question that was raised by the young artist. I hear your concerns, but I think sometimes if we focus on a problem too much, we're not going to change this industry. I would like, particularly while still here as a DJ, to be able to say, as we focus on academies, that this industry was able to contribute and improve. Both the lives and the plight of the artists and the creatives, but that this industry was able to also contribute to the development of growth of South Africa's economy. And that this technical events area in particular, we were able to have, particularly those who were previously disadvantaged and excluded, that we no longer only rely on the house, that we have produced more beer houses. That is possible, creative way. But to do that, you need a plan, you need a strategy. So our commitment as a department to the sector, particularly in this area, as we made commitments to the Film Summit, is that with this one, I can assure you that we will continue to support the initiatives that are aimed at developing this particular area of our creatives. And we will, I hope that as we move forward, we will be able to say we have more technicians, but also we have more owners. That there was a small industry in Eastern Cape. Because these academies, you can't expect a child from Eastern Cape to be traveling to Joburg.
Yes.
How are we going to expand access?
Yeah.
Those are the ideas as a DG of Arts and Culture I need. See, how are we going to diversify and make sure that there is access? A number of schools that are unused. How can we utilize those places so that a child from Muyesh in Limpopo does not have to come to Joburg to access these skills? So Zinatela and the team and the colleagues, all of you are here. Let's find a way of creating access to this industry. I know that there's been an issue about policy, the white paper. The white paper is not yet signed off by the president. But we are hoping that as we move forward, it will. But at the end of the day, even that policy space, if you look at the white paper and how many people were participating, then when you are at the end, we wake up when we hear it's going to be legislated, you don't want it legislated, it becomes a problem. In fact, in the white paper, maybe Mr. Nyatala didn't tell you, he was one of the voices that was fighting that this thing must not be captured in some small paragraph. We had to change that. To capture it as a chapter that deals with, it's a discipline in its own. So, the white people had to change it and say, but I hear you've been complaining, can you take me through what is the problem? And when he explained, you had to call the panel. He said, but it makes sense. But it was because of participation and involvement. So what we need is that when you see it like this, you are able to say, practice influences policy. What should change? So we are looking at a different funding model. As a department, was one of the issues that has been raised. What are we funding exactly? That's a call in economy. If we've got 350 million rand, what then is being funded? How does it contribute to this change? And I had to task the team to say, what is of national interest? Because you can't just fund for the sake of funding. All of you, I'm telling you, even sitting here, you might be having an idea about a proposal. Because when I engage with artists, they will say, let us be together at the top. But below, everyone wants something for himself or herself. And then proposals will come left and right for this money. And the one who doesn't get it is angry today. He gets it today, he's angry, he's happy. The other one who didn't get is angry. What's our purpose?
Money.
So my appeal is that when we talk of policy and regulations, this sector in particular, because there is an issue of the transformation charter that has been raised. But the voice I'm hearing is from Mr. Nyatala. And he says, let us go, DG, go to DGI. He's the one who came to me. Because if there is no transformation charter, how are you going to change things here? So I take your advice that you raised in this afternoon around collaboration between the departments. And Mr. October, the DG there, we've started to work together. Because it's the only way we can contribute and put resources together and say, how are we going to fund this sector? So, I think this conference must assist us moving away now from the bigger issues of the whole sector, live events, to have a strategy on what we want it to look like in the next 5 years. Do you have a plan? Can I get a plan and say, is it costed or not costed? How then are we going to help you to develop this such that those who are excluded are able to participate? Then we judge each other on, we gave you a plan, what did you do? Now this area for South Africa will be a springboard to support SADC, to support the rest of Africa. If we can have an excellent skills academy focusing on this area. Even today they are asking, needing support from the limited 200 or so young people. But we can't be that beacon of hope for the region. If we develop this sector, the rest of Africa, the rest of SADC, I can assure you, they will need your services when they've got a big event in Swaziland. If they will come to you, what are you going to do? If you don't have skills, if you don't have ownership, if you don't have equipment. So my appeal to you today, I thought I will deviate a bit on this whole long speech and focus on transforming this sector, creating skill space in this sector, and exporting the talent of this sector. But put a challenge to you to say, do we have a plan? And say to the department, here is a plan. But for now, I've committed myself that we will work with what is available and push and support SARA in their endeavors to make sure that we have these skills and that this academy becomes a successful academy. You are aware that you are dealing with a lot of academies. That is what we are trying to do now. Mamle, Tambul and Kaifas, they have an academy that we're building there in Soweto. Because it's the only way we can create skills revolution in this country. To support you, because remember when you produce your song, you go to, how is it that we only have downtown maybe, which is running down, is facing challenges? Are we saying that a child from Kutsong must come to downtown? So we have a big opportunity in this sector. We must exploit it. But we must have the right frame of mind to achieve those goals. And we can. So the fourth industrial revolution, I've spoken about it, but just that I want to emphasize that artificial intelligence, robotics, very soon will be telling our fridges. I mean, right now we are at home, we are able to look and see what's happening at. So we are at the office, using technology, you are able to see what's happening in your house. But you have in Pretoria, very soon you will be telling your fridge, I just need my cold drink. It will tell you, you don't have Coke. Tells us they are even self-driving cars. They are being, these things are developing at a very fast speed. So the fourth industrial revolution, unfortunately, is unavoidable. And you can exploit it. You can use it. To resist it, it's not going to happen. Because your song, if you put it on iTunes immediately, how many people does it reach? Rather than the one when you're going around selling the CD, and what are they doing with it? Piracy. So the question that I discussed with the gentleman I've asked to come here around this issue, because I know that this issue is a burning issue, and he agreed that he will come and meet with South African artists to discuss the impact of this fourth industrial revolution one of the things he was saying was, we must just make sure, how does the money get back to you? How do you get your royalties out of it? But its benefits, in terms of the outreach, downloads, is huge. But you have control over your product. That is what he was saying. Because if you don't have control over it, then of course you're going to be exploited. You're going to be vulnerable. So I said we might need to have that conversation to see how we can exploit this thing. Because resisting it is too late. I can tell you my daughter doesn't care about CDs. On her phone, she's just downloading. It doesn't matter. Suddenly my son is busy now with, he wants this thing, Netflix. It does not, can I download? I don't want these movies now. So, technology is the future. We don't have a choice. And as a sector, we must lead anyway, because we are the creatives. So, when the program director gets next to you, you must know you have overstayed your welcome. I can see where he's getting. But I'm just saying, my commitment and my vision for the sector is really to see that we transform it. Particularly you, I can see when I say you here, you are the people who have been excluded from the participation in the economy. There's a majority of people. It's a reality. So how can we work together? In the meantime, let's utilize what exists and support it. And then let's have a plan going forward. So if tomorrow you don't have a plan, because it's Saturday, you didn't have time to craft the plan, where to from here, I think you might need time where you have a session. Where to from here? But let's work together. And this speech, I can just say in conclusion, I wish you all the positive outcomes of what you will be doing, and that your robust and vibrant engagement will leapfrog South Africa to higher trajectory in relation to live events, technical and production. And that our partners from UK, from Canada, from the rest of our fellow colleagues in Africa, that let's work together and make this industry truly our own.